Hey everybody, it's Zach here. Happy Saturday. It was a beautiful day out and I stayed very busy for most of the day. But I do have a project tonight and I'll show you. So this here I got from a friend from work. His name is Tim. He wants this work done. I guess from what I got, sounded like his father-in-law got it for him or something like that. And he needs it to run, obviously. What's going on, Kojo? Looks like at some point it was in a garage sale, $5. Who knows? But I took a brief glance at it Monday or Tuesday, and these fuel lines had been broken, at least the main one, and it wouldn't pump into this little primer bulb. I checked, it has spark. It should have plenty of air, but we have a fuel problem, and I'll show you why. So these little carburetors are made so when you pump the primer bulb, if it pumps too much gas in there, there's a return line. See, here's one and the other. So one sucks in the fuel. When there's too much, it'll push it back into the tank. Well, this one, it's squirting it out. And what I think it is, there's a diaphragm inside of this carb. You can hear it whistling. There's a diaphragm in there, and I think that's gunked up and causing it to go out this little bypass hole. So it's not actually getting any fuel at all. I tried pouring some in here, and it still wouldn't even make its way. So we got to take it apart. We got to take a peek at it. Now I have it kind of precarious here because my garage is full occupancy right now. We got the car and truck, and you might notice my truck, if you give it a good look, it's squatting pretty good. Today was a landscaping day, and in the front of the house, I'll have to show you guys. It's dark now, but we used to have these paver stones, so I removed the paver stones and had to remove a bunch of dirt, and I put down just natural mulch wood chips because I could get a full, it's about 1.5 yard scoop for $15 at my compost site. The guy hooked me up good because I got one scoop the other day. I went there today. I showed up at 2 o'clock, I showed up at 1 o'clock, which they closed at noon, and the dude was super cool. If you guys live in this area, look up Tri-County compost site. They're super cool there, and he hooked me up with 2 scoops. Completely filled my 4x8 trailer to the brig. But yeah, this is all the dirt I shoveled, which it doesn't look like much, but this is probably, if I had to guess, this is probably about 1 yard of dirt. And I shoveled it in a half bucket, 2.5 gallons at a time, because it's so heavy. So yeah, she's pretty loaded. This dirt though is just gonna get put on the side of the garage against to kind of create a slope down. It's mixed with rocks and junk, so. But yeah, so we got that going. If you guys are wondering about the rust, I did call because I hadn't heard anything all week. I called yesterday. On Monday, they got the paperwork in because he came and took those pictures on Sunday. The paperwork didn't have the rims on it, so they had to send it back to corporate to get the sign off on the rims. And come next Monday, she said it should be approved. And I did ask if it would affect my loan status as a major repair or the Carfax, if it would go on there, and she said no. They're not supposed to, as far as her part of it, they do not report any of that to Carfax. So I just have to call the body shop and double check with them. But she said it should just be anything through the dealership as far as like maintenance goes, oil changes and stuff like that, which that makes a lot of sense. This thing had like really good service records as far as the Carfax report goes. And then if it was in a crash and had body work done, then the insurance has to report it. But they're insurance, but they're not actually insurance. So kind of a weird situation, if you will. I'm going to use this Coke can here as my stand, and we're going to get working on this, not to bore you guys too much. I'll flip you around. Last time I did this, people complained that I was moving it too much. So I'm going to try to keep this thing relatively stable. Might get shaky when I move this thing around, but I'll kind of explain my process as I go through. So this here is the carb side, and on this one there's 2 screws. They're already partially off. And this is your air filter, and when I tried to start it, I did try to, this was off, so it had plenty of air and still no starting. Now once we remove that cover, you can see our choke lever here. This is just a little metal piece that covers the hole, choking it out. So we're going to remove these 2 screws, and then the whole carb will come off. Trying to do this as gentle as possible for you guys. Now this is just a flathead screwdriver. Back you guys up a little bit. There we go. So this is just a flathead screwdriver. And this screwdriver is actually a little bit too small, but it'll still work. There is also, you could use a weird square bit that's in the center. But I have no idea what the year is on this thing. I could probably look at it here. I have no idea. It's heavy though. It's like a really nice built curve shaft string trimmer. But it just doesn't want to run. It's Toro brand. Should run like a top. I mean, how clean it is, it looks like it just doesn't have many hours on it at all. So when we remove this cap, this is the little primer bulb in here. So right here is the primer bulb, and there's just 2 lines on it. Sometimes I do these videos just to kind of remind myself how these things go together. Okay, so that's off of there. Here's our little choke lever. And here is our carb. So the trigger here is just a wire, and it has a little crooked bent piece that I'll show you guys. And that just slides right off of there. So that just slides right off of the hole, which there's many holes so you can adjust. I guess if it gets a little slack in it or whatever. And then we just got another fuel line here. Pull this one off. There we go. Okay. And this is our carb. This is what we are actually going to be working on. I'm going to set this on the ground. It's actually getting chilly outside, but it's still nice and warm in here. So the excess fuel that you've seen was squirting out of this hole. And as you can tell, this isn't like a hole that ever had a fitting on it. So there should be 2 diaphragms in here. One's on the bottom and one's on the top. So I'm going to open the top first. Well, I guess I don't know which side's top and bottom, but I'm going to be opening this side first because I think there might be some crud maybe in here. Little screwdriver here. These are Phillips head, but you can also use a standard on here. Now the type of material is pretty durable that they use in here, but we do still want to be very careful because it can get a little bit broken. At least if it breaks though, being that this is a Toro and they're pretty well known, I should be able to get parts for it if need be. But obviously if you're doing this for a customer, which Tim is my friend, not so much a customer, but regardless, you're going to want to verify with them if they actually want to spend any money on something like this. So you got these 4 little screws. They're all the same length on this one. And we got to get this cover off. this one right here. Oh, you know, I don't know if it's from welding now for 5 years. I just actually hit my 5-year mark. Or if it's just because I'm about 25 years old. But man, my eyes are just not what they used to be, and it's really bothers me. Okay. I'm gonna just go grab a smaller screwdriver so I can pop this cover quickly and not hurt anything. It's funny because these things will take a beating, but you gotta be very careful because they can get finicky as well. Just kind of playing around with it and finding maybe an edge that's a little... Oh, let's see. What's going on, Neil? What's going on, Michelle? If I got that right? Hopefully. So, in case you guys are just stopping by, this here little carburetor was on a string trimmer. And when I pushed the primer bulb, I verified it has spark. It should have plenty of oxygen. It has a fuel issue, and when I push the primer bulb on these particular ones, it has an inlet and an outlet, and normally it just recycles it back into the tank. But on this one, it's coming out of this tiny little hole on top, which is hinting to me that possibly the diaphragm that's behind this is, there it is, this little cap comes off, see, and this is that diaphragm, and this diaphragm might be clogged. It actually has some weird wrinkling going on, which is different. Now when we remove this, there's a little pin in here, and I have to be careful because I really don't want to mess with this thing too much. Let's take this side off too. Michelle, Sam's doing really well currently. Her biggest problem is her hips and her back gets sore, and then her legs. I mean, we've had her eating bananas and stuff, but her legs keep getting like Charlie horses real bad. So just one screw on this bottom side. So we have to, you can see this side here, a little bit of grit kind of in there. And right in here, you can see kind of the gritty junk in there as well. So I'm gonna go grab something, but yeah, she keeps getting Charlie horses in her legs, but overall she's feeling very well, minus the couple little details, right? Oh, we got wrench. Better than nothing. Okay. I got some liquid wrench here, which is really not what I want to use for this, but I like this straw. Hey Sarah, how are you doing, Sarah? All right. So I'm just gonna take this little screwdriver. Oh, look at this. Okay, prime example. Might be hard to see. You see that big chunk on here? That is just gunky, gross fuel and everything. Not bad. I've been doing the farmers market stuff and I'm pooped. Yeah, I believe you. That farmers market, it keeps you busy. So inside of here is this little tiny screen, okay? Now that screen, and there's a little jet right here is where that screen goes. That little screen is actually like an EPA type thing. It's like an emissions, right? You don't need it. Sometimes it does help, though, regulate the flow. But this one here, these two screws, this is one of them's a idler and one's a running type adjustment. So we definitely got some airflow through that main one. Now this actually doesn't look half bad, other than those two chunks, which it could have been something as simple as that. I'm going to leave that little screen off because it takes no time at all to get in here. But I am worried at the condition of this thing. I don't much care for these wrinkles that I'm seeing. If I can get it off. Boy, oh boy. This thing feels dry. And it is very dry. So this is liquid wrench, which is really not what I want to put on here, but I'm doing it anyways. This little needle here does move. So I'm just gonna just put this thing back together here, because perhaps that little chunk on the other side was clogging that hole, causing it to have so much back pressure. They make these things serviceable, but you have to be very patient with them. That one came off. So I mean, like, the inside of this is looking fantastic. This thing cannot have that many hours. If I had to guess, this was at someone's, I don't even want to guess, but cabin is what I would imagine. And they got it, they ran it 1 year, and that was it, kind of a deal. It sat with the fuel in it, and it just gunked up right away. I have no idea if that would be accurate, but that's what I'm getting, is like, this thing's actually pretty clean on the inside, and I don't see why it should not run. You can hear the train in the background. Okay, so we just put that side back on, and I mean, like, really, this thing is clean. I took off this little screen because we'll keep it in case we need it. But I took it off because I'm imagining if it does have any residual little granules, I'd rather it sucked it through and burned them than getting caught up on that little screen. That is a loud train horn. Jeepers. How often does the train run? I don't know. A few times a day. You know, we don't hear it in the house very much because it's on a garage side here. It's actually probably half a mile away. But you don't hear it in the house because the garage kind of blocks it. I thought that they're not actually supposed to blow their horn because that's like the train yard. But they can do whatever they want. I'd rather listen to train horns than than loud, gross neighbors. That's for sure. We'll tighten this up too. I don't know, if this thing runs right away, I'll be happy, but I have a feeling it's gonna involve more than this. It might be that those fuel lines were on there wrong. Okay, so we got that. Grab our string trimmer. Okay. So, see that piston in there? Doesn't look scratched up. This thing has a great compression. There's no reason at all why this thing should not run. Putting the fuel line back on. I did blow through it and verified, you know, it was blowing through just fine. Get our secondary one put on here. And then make sure you get your throttle cable put back on. Oop, did I have this backwards? Yes, I do. Okay. Okay, so I think I got it all wrong. All right, so we got to get our throttle cable back on, which we can always make adjustments to. So I'm not worried too much about its position right now. Pretty much, if it'll fit in here, I'll run it. Come on, there we go. So we got that. Little rascal. Beautiful. This does not seem right. What am I doing wrong? I got this thing upside down. I got it upside down. There we go. Okay. That looks better. Okay, so we got this going. We got to put our little overflow on here. Alcohol kills fuel, blah, blah, blah. Any difference working on a two-stroke engine than a normal engine? Two-stroke engines are much more finicky when it comes down to this kind of stuff. Because of the fact that their carburetors are tiny most of the time, you know, because nowadays they don't make large four-stroke motors. So their carbs are tiny, which makes it even harder to really work on these, and they're oily all the time, which is a whole issue in itself. So they're a little bit more finicky and less, I'm not gonna say less hard to work on, but got something going on here that I do not like. What is going on? Something with this throttle cable is not going back. You know, a four-stroke is way easier to work on and clean and stuff like that, but two strokes, if they don't really like what's going on, you know, you just kind of, you can clean them the best that you can, and a lot of times I just say, well, you know, I got it the best I can, so try to run it and see if you have any better results. Luckily, they're either way, you know, a carburetor's pretty cheap. It's just four-stroke motors are so common that it's really easy to line up parts, and the two strokes are a little bit less common. So parts wise, you know, you kind of have to dig for it a little bit. Okay. But then again, two strokes, you know, you can normally get a little bit higher RPM and stuff out of them too. So I don't know, they each have a benefit and a purpose. Something is not going on here. I got something upside down and backwards. Seal to seal. This little fuel line here, show you. So this little piece here, this is what happens when they're old. They get really brittle, and this one here has a nice chunk cracked out of it. So last time I went to the hardware store, I actually thought ahead, and I got 3 feet of this nice, ooh, they're coming close, 3 feet of this nice fuel line here. So I live by the train station, and I live by the hospital. Might as well chuck it. Well, you know what? A lot of people have. I actually run my Remington string trimmer, and the reviews on those are not much better. But I have had nothing but good luck with that thing. So I'm like, it depends on who you are, I guess. What your ability is, how you take care of it. A lot of people are very, when it comes to two strokes, a lot of people are very lazy with mixing. You know, like not lazy, but they just don't get it. And that is a big problem with these because they mix them so oily that it fouls the plug. And then once that plug is fouled, they put it to the side, which doesn't really help anything because then it just gets gunked up too, and then that's kind of game over. So I actually watched quite a few different videos where people try to blow up two strokes, and it takes quite a long time to blow one of these without oil. Like a really long time. Okay, so I'm just putting this thing back together. Gotta find the magic hole. There it is. And we'll see if I have any better results. I don't know if that's really what I needed though. We will see. Come on. There it is. We'll see, even if it squirts a little bit of gas out the dealio, I'm still gonna try to start it. Okay, so we're gonna try our same thing before, priming it. Still shoots it out the hole. I do not understand that. But regardless, we have it in the on, and I'll actually move you guys because you're gonna shake otherwise. You guys over there. See if we can get some. Ooh. It kind of almost popped off right away. Just confused at why that thing shoots gas out of it. Got some comments here. I'm gonna just grab my little gas can. I'm gonna try to pour a little bit down the spout because it popped off a little bit there. Yeah, a lot of people I know with their two strokes, they put like, they'll just get a big container rather than like these little bottles. I got a big container, but I measure it out in a bottle like that. And they just start pouring the oil down it. Oh yeah, that'll be good. They have no true ratio, right? 30 to 1, 50 to 1. They have no idea what they're actually, oh yeah, what they're actually mixing, which is fine, I suppose, if that's what they want to do, but I don't know. Then stuff is either too lean or too oily. I don't know. Let's pop off the spark plug here. Bring you guys back over. Pop off the spark plug and we'll take a gander and see if it has any fuel on it. Oh, I just gotta grab the wrench. No. Oh. Might help if I had the right size. Oh my. see, what do you... That might be it. We got a lot going on in my garage right now. Okay. That is not the right size. Nope. What is this thing? Oh, 11/16? Way off. There we go. Now I think I got the right one. Yep. It's not 11/16. It's definitely a 5/8. Okay. Saved. So, does look kind of wet. Smells gassy. Interesting. Double check we got spark coming. We definitely do have spark. Interesting. Maybe I'll pull it a couple times. Get some air in there in case we put too much down in there. Put this back in here. See, the thing is, it might take me a couple hours to get this one, but what I'll learn from this one will make it so the next one might only take me an hour. Eventually, it has got to get easier. We're going to unchoke it here. It is on. Boy, oh boy, she has a lot of compression. Get you guys back up here. Oh, there it was. Try a little choke. Too much fuel there. So it runs. Oh, come on. Interesting. So it runs. It sounds good. Sounds like snappy, but runs. Trying to burn out any gunk. What do we got? It's alive. There we go. So, smelling nice and strokey in here. So what happened was it bogged down and I hit the primer button. And that was just a way to see. Now if it's bogging down and you choke it and it dies, that means it's probably getting too much fuel. I hit the primer button, it kicked back up, so I moved the choke lever down to cover the hole to give it more fuel, and then it ran better. So we're going to try to choke it a little more. Now this thing might just be cold-blooded, or it's got to work through some of that garbage that's in there. about 3 pushes on that primer valve, and then it squirts the fuel out. So it might just be the way it's designed. Choking it. Interesting. Now I might be getting too much fuel. That's a long one. I wish we were neighbors. I would take you around to yard sales, buy all the tools and fix them and make more money. Sam's doing really good with the baby. Right now her biggest things are her back hurts really bad, like all the time. And then her hips hurt. And she gets like Charlie horses. Even if like we've been having her eat bananas and stay hydrated, and she still just gets the worst cramps in her legs. So unfortunately, all that stuff is going on. But like health-wise, she's doing really good. She's eating good, and yeah, overall she seems to be doing really well. All right, let's start this thing again. Another thing you can do with these to help clean out some of the junk is when you rev it up, stick your finger or choke it. But the fastest way is stick your finger in the hole. And what that does is it will draw fuel real fast, and it sucks it through all those little pathways in that carburetor, and it'll suck the gunk out with it, if you will. Yeah, that carburetor definitely is gunked up. Get into her again here. We're going to pop it open again and see if anything has filtered its way out. And we'll see. I have thought of like finding free lawnmowers or like cheap stuff like this and fixing up and selling it, but I think that the price points on a lot of it wouldn't be worth my time for the most part, because you just have to fix it real fast, and a lot of times these things don't really they don't really happen very fast. You know, it would be best to find like a paying customer would probably beat that market pretty easy. Alright, what do we got? What do we got? So, I'm going to open up undo these lines. Ugh. 2 and this one. I'm going to open up the bottom one. I'll move you guys here. Okay. And Sarah, yeah, she's doing really good on the rest of the stuff. It's just hard, you know. She loses a lot of sleep because she can't find a very comfortable position in bed, which is pretty awful. Okay, so we're gonna pop this bottom off, which was where all the gunk was before. And there we have exactly what I'm talking about. See this little sea urchin in there? That is varnish, and that's exactly what we do not want. Just going through. Now I am seeing a bit of pulled gas in this little jet here, and I'll show you a trick for that. I'll show you the trick to the trade. Oh, just give me one moment here so I can get together some supplies for it. I gotta go get a wire brush. Okay. Alright. So, what we want to do is we got our wire brush here. You want to grab a wire from it and yank it out the needle nose. Actually, I grabbed two. And now you want to put little zigzags in it. And it doesn't have to be, you know, extreme, but it can be. The more the better. Kind of see it there, a little zigzaggy. And then grab it with your pliers. Put it in the jet. And there it goes. And you just kind of work it in and out a little bit. And what it does is it scrapes off. Maybe there's some varnish in there, whatever. Now, a long time ago, I was working on that Argo. Someone said, you need a parts washer. Parts washers are nice, but they take up a lot of space. And I obviously don't have that much space. So it might have just been that little beginning part that needed it. Because as soon as I did that, it seemed like the gas kind of made its way through. But you can do this to all these little jets. Just kind of get in there with it. You could also use compressed air, works pretty good. But sometimes you need to get in there, like this one being particular as far as how varnished it was. It is nice. Really get in there and kind of move stuff around. Michelle said, how shocked and happy are you guys for Dad and Melissa? You're probably not shocked. You know, Dad called me on, I think it was the Thursday before he went up there, and he was just talking to me, and he's like, yeah, I just got a lot going on, and because he's saying, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't invite you. And I did think it was kind of weird that he didn't invite me, but, you know, I understood, especially now since Melissa's up here, you know, they need to get away too. I wasn't, like, upset by it or nothing. So, I heard something in his voice. I can't even explain it. I just heard he just was talking different when he was saying it. Maybe I'm keen if you're lying to me or something. I have no idea. But I heard something in his voice. I'm like, yeah. I even called Sam and I'm like, yeah, talk to Dad, and I think he's gonna propose. So then thought about it for the night, and I'm like, I am going to text him tomorrow, which would have been Friday. So I'm gonna text him and I'm gonna see what's going on. So Friday rolls around. I'm about to text him and I thought, you know what? It's happened before where him and I were talking and all of a sudden he got his conversation messed up between me and Melissa. So I'm like, I'm not going to text him because I don't want him to get mixed up. If he's like, yes, I am going to propose to her, but he actually texts her, it would completely ruin that moment. I'm like, I'm not going to say or do that. So I just let it be. Sure enough, my intuition, if you will, was right, and he did. I don't know what it was in his voice, but something. I heard something in his voice. Maybe it was excitement. I really don't know. But yeah, I heard something in his voice. Okay, that goes on like that. Yeah, Sarah. I was more shocked at the fact that my idea was right. Like, something's going on. What's going on, And then all of a sudden I seen it and I'm like, no way. I was right. So, I don't know what it was in his voice, though. That's what I got going on. I'm looking at the wrong dang side. I knew it. There we go. So I'm just getting this little seal thing put back together. We're going to button this thing back up. So, I'm very happy for them, though. Very happy. I mean, I was obviously surprised, but really the timing of it, I don't think the timing could have been any better. Like, it's just natural, and the timeline seems good. So, oh, that hurts my back sitting like that. All right, so we cleared out some more varnishy garbage. Let's get the steer back up here and see if we can get it back together. Again. So I think that the little squirty thing that I initially did, it, which is coming out of this hole, I think that is just how it is. Honestly. Excuse me. Okay. Get her all slapped back together. Couple little fuel lines on here. That. Just to come up. Now this motor's getting warmer and warmer every time. I'm happy it ran though. I mean, I was not even expecting it to run quite yet. Normally these things just about fight me to the death. Be getting upset and swearing and throwing tools, and all of a sudden then it pops off. I'm like, wow, really? Most of the time I'm like, wow, I should have thought of that. Like, something just kind of random. There we go. Get this back together, pump it a couple times. And we might have to do this a few times to get that varnish out. I mean, it's probably going to run kind of goofy for a little bit, but it's all a part of it. You gotta go. What's going on, ALTR? Well, Michelle, Sarah's pretty close with Dad too. I wouldn't say that one of us is closer than the other. If anything, she lives closer to him than I do, so Dad's a busy guy. I maybe talk to him once a week. Probably every other week is more accurate. Okay. Yeah, and if he's not busy, I'm busy. Our timelines normally don't really meet very well. Okay, let's give her a couple pumps here. And I'm seeing some like air bubbles developing in the fuel line on the draw side. And I just got to run for so long because I was lightly tapping the primer bulb. So I'm wondering if my line's not sitting quite right. What was that? Zach, is that blowing smoke? Connection isn't good. Oh, well. It's supposed to blow smoke. It's a two-stroke. So I'm going to take this off again and look at the fuel lines to see if I have them maybe a spot that's not quite right. It's like cold outside to be in a t-shirt, but then in the garage, it's really warm. This little primer bulb used to be completely filled with fuel. I was at a convention in Georgia selling art when I found out. So yeah, I was not close to the situation at all. Yeah, that's true. It does not make its way though all the way through. My finger over it and see if I can push. Okay, that was interesting. It's drawing a lot of air through here, which makes me think that the little holes for this thing to breathe might be clogged. These are kind of, you see inside of here there's a piece of foam and a hole in the cap. Just double check that this isn't clogged up. Foam feels good. Cap thing is obviously going to be fine. It's on its side right now, so it's not going to get any fuel in there. Seems okay. The temperature in here is 76 degrees in my garage. I don't know what it should. Outside, I'm guessing it's probably 60. It feels really cold out there. Well, I don't know. I was outside doing all that landscaping today, so I'm burnt pretty good on my shoulders. But yeah. Okay, we got this. Maybe I should top off this fuel tank too. There's not a ton of fuel in here. Top off this fuel tank because that fuel line sits right at the bottom of this first. It kind of has two parts, right? Could be what it was. Oh, Yeah, I haven't really made plans with Dad yet. I'm gonna call him, wish him a happy Father's Day, but he's up north at the house there, the farmhouse, so I'm not trying to bother him. There we go. Let's try this once. It's weird to me. It idles so good and then revs up and dies. Trying to think. I've had it happen before, but it was a bad head gasket, but this thing shouldn't have that issue. I'd be able to feel it. I'd be able to feel the loose kind of, I don't know, loose, don't have very much pressure in there. The cycle goes on and on because it's just sucking all that junk through. Gotta clean out the carb again. And this is why 2-strokes are hard, because a 4-stroke you clean the bowl in the bottom of it, and pretty much at that point nothing, unless there's bad gas in the tank, nothing else is really gonna get in there. But these 2-strokes, because they're so oily and just different machine, you know, it just has to pull all that garbage through. A lot of these slots are so small. See if there's anything under there this time. Pretty clean. A little bit of junk. So there's not much junk in here this time, luckily. See if I can force some stuff. Ooh. Let's see here. This one main jet kind of looks clogged still. And with a 4-stroke, you can normally take the jets out and clean them. These 2-strokes, not so much. And like I said, I can't see anything anymore because I'm old. Someone asked if I planned on going up north next weekend, and I think I might get up there. Work's been really busy. I worked to Saturday 2 weeks ago. And then I would have worked this Saturday, but kind of lucked out in a way. But I did take off Monday to get out of it, so I might take half of next Monday to get out of this next Saturday. But if I can't, then I will be working, and I probably won't make it up there. The joy. At least with my dad, he has his own business thing, so he can take whatever days off he wants, but I don't get that luxury. Okay. Clean that out a little more. This is literally my whole procedure for cleaning these things is run them and then clean them, run them, clean them, run them, clean them. And eventually it runs good. But to be honest, I never really have salvaged a two-stroke where I felt 100% confident that it would, like, you know, be good forever. This is probably the cleanest two-stroke I've worked on so far, but I normally can get them where they're pretty good. Like, there's just too much to these little carbs, and they get real gunky. So, there we go. Try number, this is probably 4, maybe 5. So if you ever wonder, maybe you brought in your string trimmer to somebody before or something and it was kind of expensive to fix, maybe this is a good video to watch why, because they are so finicky. And it's funny, this one looks really clean, but it just sits there and fights you the whole time. So, I'm going to give her one more shot here and then I'll end the live stream because I don't think I have a ton of battery left. And you guys look out of focus. There we go. Trying to keep you guys more chilling, right? Instead of moving you around all the time. Alright. Okay, so we cleaned it. That time it looked pretty good, so I don't know what the deal would be. Let's give it a fire up here. We have no choke on. I just pushed the primer bulb. Well, I'm going to have to think about this one. It's normally how it goes. If I can't get it to run within, you know, this time frame, I sit and I think about it. Maybe I'll try a new spark plug, but I don't think I have any of them on hand, so I'll have to wait. Alright guys, well, I appreciate everyone coming and watching tonight. I like to do these videos. We do plan on putting up more cooking videos with Samantha, because she likes doing those videos and we have had lots of positive feedback about them. So we're going to do more cooking videos for the people that like that, and I'll do my garage videos here and there, but tomorrow I'll probably show you guys the landscaping, if you will, out front that I did. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and yeah,